I don't thinking in that way because I always go with the mentality to win, obviously, and I always try to do my best.
I don't know what challenge that he's going to pose on me. We got to wait till fight night to see.
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez.
Only thing I'm thinking about is history, you know, making history, that's it.
Canelo Alvarez has spoken out in his fight with Terence Crawford. The champion shared a clear message about the matchup, breaking down what makes Crawford dangerous and why he believes his own power and experience will ultimately decide the outcome on fight night. Meanwhile, Dana White called Canelo versus Crawford a once-in-a-lifetime fight. He said Crawford is undefeated and is moving up to face Canelo, making it a special matchup. For him, real fights matter when the best risk everything, not just celebrity matches. He explained that what makes people care is what's at stake, and here, two of the greatest are putting their legacies on the line.
That's why I call this fight a once-in-a-lifetime fight. When you have, a guy like Crawford who's undefeated and is willing to move up in weight and fight somebody like Canelo, this is what it's all about. I mean, two of the all-time best, right? Putting it all on the line. Every time you put on a fight, what makes people care about it is what's at stake, right? That's why some of this celebrity stuff that happens, I think it's goofy. It's not what I do, but I completely understand that, this celebrity versus this celebrity, and you just want to see the train wreck and see who's going to win. I totally get it. But what I love is when you have two of the absolute best ever that are willing to put it on the line one night, see.
Additionally, during the interview, Canelo explained how he changes his style depending on the opponent. Against slower fighters, he doesn't feel the need to move much because they can't keep up with his timing. But when the question turned to Terence Crawford, Canelo admitted things would be different. He knows Crawford is fast, throws more punches, and will push him to use movement and defense more than usual.
Because I don't need it with that kind of fighters. They are slower than me. So I don't need to start moving or keep moving if I know I don't need to do something, why I'm gonna do it. If I need it, I'm gonna do it. So that's why, because they are slower than me. So that's why I can do my thing.
Are you saying lower or slower?
Slower.
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 Okay, slower than you.
Slower. So that's why I think I'm not needed like as avoid punches like that much, right? But when a fighter is fast and throw a lot of punches and everything, so well,
Who's Crawford? Where does he fall?
Yeah, I'm gonna need it for sure.
Meanwhile, when the topic shifted directly to his fight with Terence Crawford, Canelo spoke about how much this matchup means to him. He explained that this isn't just another title defense, but one of the most important fights of his career. Canelo shared that his preparation is built in two things: discipline and motivation, which together he believes give him the perfect mindset to win.
Yeah.
For me, it's a very important fight to win. So I have that combination for this fight, is motivation and my discipline I ever had in my life, my whole career. So discipline with motivation, that two combined is very good.
On the other hand, Crawford said many people are underestimating him, but he isn't worried about that. He explained that talk and predictions don't matter. What really matters is the fight itself. He made it clear that on Sunday, when he faces Canelo, all doubts and questions will be answered. The ring will show who is stronger, faster, and ready to take the win.
I think people is underestimating everything about me, but that doesn't matter. We got to fight here Saturday, and all the answers will be answered that night.
Crawford also reflected on his journey leading up to the fight. He talked about the challenges and timing of his career, explaining that things don't always happen when he expects. Instead, he believes events unfold at the right moment. Crawford emphasized that he isn't focused on the past but is fully committed to the present, ready to give everything on fight night.
Well, everything happened for a reason. It ain't on my time, it's on God's time, and the time is now and I'm here. So I'm not gonna reminisce on the past. I'm living in the present. We here now, and we about to break, records and do big numbers.
Moving on, experts are weighing in on the Canelo vs. Crawford fight, and Stephen A. Smith shared his thoughts. He highlighted that Canelo is strong in experience, but Crawford's speed and boxing skills could be key. Smith explained that while Canelo relies on power shots, a faster, smarter boxer like Crawford can avoid heavy punches and control the fight by outboxing and outpointing him over the rounds.
Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
And when I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
And that's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this.
Smith then discussed how weight and preparation affect the fight. He noted that Canelo is used to fighting at this weight, giving him an edge in strength and endurance. Crawford has grown, but Canelo's experience at the class could be a challenge. Smith emphasized that strategy, movement, and timing will be critical, and Crawford will need to rely on speed and smart boxing to outpoint Canelo.
He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always
prepared.
He's always ready. He's always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster.
Furthermore, as the discussion around Canelo vs. Crawford continues, Michael Bisping analyzed Crawford's accomplishments and the challenge he faces moving up in weight. He highlighted Crawford's impressive history of winning titles in multiple divisions, but noted that jumping to super middleweight to fight Canelo is a big step. Bisping explained how this weight change could impact the fight, while also mentioning Crawford's ability to handle training and recovery.
Terence Bud Crawford. Crawford, as we know, he's won many different titles in different weight classes. Of course, the first to do that was Tommy Hearns back in the 1980s. Crawford is the 24th boxer in history to do that. His collection of titles include the WBR 135 world title. He's also the 140-pound champion. He's the 147-pound champion. And he's the 154-pound champion as well. He won that against Israel Madrimov. Now for this one, Crawford is making a massive jump. He's jumping up 2 weight classes to 168 pounds super middleweight to take on Canelo Alvarez. That is a massive jump, and that could cost him in the fight. Yes, of course, throughout the training camp, he's going to be able to take up more nutrients. He's going to be able to recover better. Of course, weight cuts, that is not going to be an issue.
After discussing Crawford's jump in weight, Bisping shifted focus to Canelo Alvarez and the overall challenge he presents. He explains that Canelo is not just any opponent, he's a top pound-for-pound fighter and one of boxing's biggest stars. Bisping highlighted that if Crawford wins, it would be historic, but he will face enormous pressure and tough competition against a naturally bigger, experienced champion like Alvarez.
And this is Canelo Alvarez that we're talking about after all. And let's remember that Canelo Alvarez is kind of the face of boxing, but he's currently the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter. Canelo is only number 8, and of course number 1 is Alexander Usyk. A man that also, let's remember, moved up weight classes. If Crawford wins here, he becomes the first ever 3-weight undisputed boxing champion, but he's up against big competition in Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is one of, if not the biggest star in boxing. All of the pressure is on Alvarez being the larger fighter.
On the other hand, before the fight, Terence Bud Crawford sat down with Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson to discuss his mindset. Crawford addressed the speculation around his ability to handle Canelo's power. He emphasized that questions about his toughness are meaningless until they step into the ring. Crawford expressed confidence that everything will be revealed in fight night, showing he's focused and ready to face whatever comes his way.
One thing is evident is that you're going to get hit in the boxing match.
Okay.
So,
Always.
you know, everything could be you know, all the questions will be answered come Saturday. You know, they don't gotta speculate and guess and hope. Oh man, he can't take the punch. How you know I can't take the punch? You know, Canelo ain't never hit me and I said I can't take the punch, or you know. So I just laugh at people that's, you know, praying and hoping that it goes the way they want it to go. You know, so Saturday everything will be shown.
Moving on, as fight week heats up, analysts have been discussing the pressure both fighters face. Showbiz the Adult highlighted that while Canelo's name carries its own weight, Crawford is under more pressure to perform and make the fight a success. He explained that Crawford is doing extra work in training and preparation, showing how the mental and physical demands are ramping up as fight night approaches.
I've been feeling a lot of pressure on Crawford. You know, Crawford has more pressure to try to make this fight big, right? Because Canelo name itself is going to do whatever, but people need to know who he's fighting, all right? And I see Crawford doing more work than Canelo, and Canelo, you know, he put himself in a position where he doesn't have to work as much. The lights and everything, I did see that as a bit uncomfortable for Bud. But for me, Bud's a killer. So when a bell strikes, all that going to be behind him, especially once he gets hit. When Crawford gets hit, it's on. It's like what Mike Tyson said, we're always nervous, but the closer you get to the ring, and then when you get in there, you become an animal. I think, you know, all of this stuff is a lot for Crawford, I think, right? This is a big moment, and it's coming up very fast. This is a very fast, we're already on a hump day.
Showbiz also broke down Crawford's approach inside the ring. He explained that Crawford isn't focused on chasing a knockout, but on winning the fight strategically. While analyzing Crawford's footwork and Canelo's style, he highlighted how both fighters use their strengths differently. The discussion pointed out that Crawford's movement and Canelo's boxing skills will shape how the fight unfolds, giving fans insight into the tactical side of the matchup.
When His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh put up that bonus for the knockout bonus, Now, Bud Crawford ain't going for the knockout. If it comes, it comes. He's trying to win the fight. The knockout, that's Nello, dog. That's Nello. That's Nelo's trying to get to the bag. Let me see. Crawford has better footwork, though. Although Nello is good at cutting off the ring, he has bad knees. What are your thoughts on this, please? I was going to wait to say this, but I think I know what Canelo's going to do.
Additionally, many athletes have shared their thoughts on the upcoming Canelo versus Crawford fight. Mexican silver medalist Marco Verde gave his prediction, picking Canelo as the likely winner. He explained that Crawford's movement and strategy could make a knockout difficult, but Canelo's pressure and skill might allow him to outpoint Crawford and secure a victory by decision on fight night.
Canelo win. Yeah.
You've been practicing your English.
Yes.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
Decision or knockout?
Decision. Yeah, I think so. Decision. Knockout, I don't know, because Crawford is going to move around because he has to esquivar, avoid all the punches, and Canelo go for him.
To pressure.
Yeah.
Furthermore, analysts are also weighing in on how the fight could play out round by round. Zab Judah shared his view, emphasizing the action and intensity fans can expect. He explained that both fighters are aggressive and skilled, so the bout is unlikely to be slow or boring. Judah also noted that while Canelo is a dangerous champion, Crawford's preparation and strategy could give him the edge.
It's going to be a better fight than people anticipate. I don't see no boring fight in this fight. Because even though Crawford game plan is, or should be, I don't know, I'm just saying, in my mind, Crawford game plan is to start early and come forward. Canelo's not going to stand there and wait for him.
Right.
He's not going to be. I mean, listen, you know, people hear me speak about this fight, and you hear my pick for this opinion, but don't. I have a lot of love for Canelo. He's a hell of a fighter. He's a hell of a champion. He can end this shit in 3 seconds if he wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Just that, you know, Crawford is prepared for it. And I think that in this fight, at this time, right now, I just picked Terence Crawford to be the victor.
Moving on, experts continue to break down the matchup. Carl Frock shared his perspective on the size and experience of both fighters. He noted that while Canelo is naturally bigger and has moved through multiple weight classes, Crawford is attempting a significant jump to super middleweight. Froch explained that this challenge makes it a tough task for Crawford to get a result against such an established champion.
I thought Canelo was going to be too big, but looking at Crawford, looking at the size of him, there's not much in it. And Canelo started off actually, didn't he, welterweight in his career, early doors when he was a young lad. And he's been up to light heavyweight, obviously lost to Bivol, and then he's dropped back down to super middleweight and is the undisputed king at super middleweight. Nobody can touch him. So for Crawford to come up to super middleweight and expect to get a result, it's a big ask. It's a tall order, as they say.
After discussing the challenge Crawford faces moving up in weight, Froch reflected on the stakes for both fighters. He explained that the outcome could have major implications for their careers. Froch analyzed how a loss might impact each fighter's legacy, noting that while Canelo is established, Crawford is taking a bit of a risk at this stage in his career, making the fight potentially decisive for both.
Or is he coming actually believing that he's got what it takes to beat a big Canelo Alvarez, a naturally bigger man? I think he is. He's a consummate professional. I think he's confident after speaking to him. But we don't know, do we? I don't know who this loss, who losing would damage them more. I think it'd be pretty much the end of Canelo losing to Crawford. It'd be devastating for his legacy. For Terence Crawford, people would just say, look, he's lost, but he's lost to Canelo, who's too big for him. He's not a super middleweight Crawford, so he could kind of afford to lose. But at his age, what is he, 37 years old? He's like tapping on the door for retirement. So this could be career curtains for whoever loses.
Furthermore, Sonny Edwards started by discussing Crawford's skills and how he matches up against Canelo. He highlighted that predicting the fight is tough because only master boxers have beaten Canelo before. Edwards explained that Crawford is highly skilled, uses clever movement, and can exploit openings. These abilities make him a real threat in the ring, even against a bigger, more experienced fighter like Canelo.
It's so hard because the only person we've really seen beat him is the sort of master boxer in both Bivol and Mayweather, and okay, there's a few question mark decisions around there that we don't really need to go into, but it's the boxer that usually beats Canelo. Physically he's so impressive, but Crawford can box, but he tends not to try and be elusive. He usually meets the fire, and his fire is normally brighter, and it'll be interesting. And remember, a fight's only between two people, even though you're looking at all the weights, etc., and stages of their career.
Edward then focused on the physical matchup and fighting styles. While Crawford and Canelo are similar in height and build, Canelo is used to facing bigger men. Edward noted that Crawford's speed, technique, and timing could give him an edge in exchanges, but these small differences could determine who controls the pace of the fight and lands key punches, making the matchup highly competitive and strategic.
Crawford is one of the best fighters we've had for this generation, really. I rate him ridiculously highly, not only his boxing acumen, his wrestling that you can see. He uses every bit of advantage of limb manipulation and finding his weight whilst transferring theirs and finding shots inside that makes him a real threat, a problem to anyone. And if anyone's going to overcome a weight disadvantage, shall I say, it will be someone like Crawford that has got sort of skills that you don't normally see in a boxing ring.
Finally, Edward reflected on Crawford's career and resilience. He emphasized that Crawford has rarely appeared vulnerable and consistently demonstrates elite boxing skills. Edward explains that while Canelo is experienced and strong, Crawford's speed and adaptability and intelligence make him a serious challenge. This combination of factors makes the fight unpredictable, exciting, and full of potential turning points, keeping fans on the edge from opening bell to the final round.
I don't know, I think maybe the size, the height, they're kind of very similar in height, stature, but Canelo's been used to fighting bigger men than him and still sort of breaking them down and beating them. But at the same time, his rhythm slowed down a hell of a lot than it was 4, 5, 6 years ago. And Crawford probably will have a lot of edges and speed in certain ways. And it's one of those interesting ones. You've got to favour Canelo, I think. But there's just something about Crawford and he's had an exceptional career. He hasn't looked really vulnerable at any stage, I wouldn't say.
The Canelo versus Crawford fight promises to be a historic clash of skill, speed, and strategy, and both fighters bring experience, discipline, and power, but their styles and preparation could decide the outcome. With Crawford's speed and tactical mind against Canelo's power and ring experience, Fight Night will reveal who truly dominates. Fans can expect a high-stakes battle that will leave a lasting mark in boxing history. So, what do you think, and who do you think will come out on top in this epic matchup? Canelo Alvarez with his experience and power, or Terence Crawford with his speed and skill? Drop your predictions in the comments and tell us why.